Hi, Donna Ottaviano-Britt here. And so in this episode, I wanted to share with you a really beautiful friendship that Joe and I have with this lovely gentleman named Fred. And so that's what you'll see in a few minutes. But it's also a great story of conversion and of community and how important it is. Because in missionary discipleship, there's 4 fundamental building blocks to missionary discipleship, and one of them is accompany. And so how do we accompany one another? And this is a great story of a group of people that are accompanying each other and how they go out of their way for one another. So I hope you enjoy meeting our friend. He's an octogenarian, so we do everything to keep him safe and keep our distance from him during the filming. But he has a beautiful story to share about his own life and the importance of his community, especially at this time. So I hope you enjoy it, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Hi, Donna Ottaviano-Britt here with another episode of Joyful Disciples. And today I am very excited to introduce you to a very dear friend of ours. His name is Fred Little. Fred, say hi.
Hi, gang.
So I wanted to tell you a little bit about our friend Fred. And we've been friends for a number of years now, and it started out by being neighbors, started out by being part of the same parish, and we also did a little time together on a property board.
Yes, we did.
Right? And so our relationship has developed over time.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about what it's like in our friendship?
Yes. I've known Donna now, it's probably been about 4 or 5 years. And she's always been there with a smile on her face and always had good things to talk about. And one of those good things to talk about was our church. And she's a mission director for, 4 or 5 missions at the church. And I've participated in all those. And each one I learned a great deal from. I'm a convert, and I need to know more about the Catholic Church. And she's been able to make me much more knowledgeable than I had been when we first met.
Well, thanks for that, Fred.
You're welcome.
And it's a great pleasure to be friends with you.
Thank you.
And you have lived an amazing life, right, in terms of how you grew up, right? Your dad died early. Your brother was killed in the war, and he was missing in action, actually, until just a few years ago. What you've done in terms of being in the military, you have children, and you're a widower now, right?
Yes, I am.
You're a widower now, and so you live by yourself.
Yes.
And so you have lived a remarkable life, and you are an octogenarian.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we have learned a great deal from you. You are a great gift in our life.
Well, thank you so much.
A great gift in our life. So can I ask you to share a little bit around what it was like to convert to Catholicism? Why did you do it? And what was it like to come through the process and be a Catholic now? Because it was later in your life you converted.
Yes, it was. I am divorced and remarried. I got my first marriage annulled. And after getting my marriage annulled, my wife, at that time, had been not confirmed, but she had been with the Catholic Church. So I went to Father Stainton, and that was in Winmore, Pennsylvania, and I talked with him. But prior to that, I had always corresponded with the priest of the Sacred Heart. And they were the ones that advised me to talk to Father Stainton and where he was located and so forth, which I did. And Father Stainton said, if you want to come in the church, we're starting instructions, I think it was in June, and you can start at that time, and we'll probably complete sometime probably around Easter. And if you want to come in the church at that time, we can do that. So that's exactly what I did. At the same time, my wife, who had not been confirmed, was confirmed at the same time I was. And she went for the last parts of the instruction. And then we were married prior to that in the Catholic Church by Father Stainton, because I had been married by a justice of the peace prior to that.
Mm-hmm.
So we were married in the Catholic Church, and everything was in order, and I was confirmed. And that was right around Easter time, as I recall.
Can I ask you a question, Fred?
Yes.
What was it like to come into the Catholic Church?
I was an Episcopalian prior.
Mm-hmm.
But there was always something about, and I grew up in a neighborhood that was all Catholics. So they used to call me the
Publix?
What did they call me? The public.
Publix, right?
Fred's the public. So when I decided to join the Catholic Church, it was something I was relatively familiar with because there were two priests that used to come up to our neighborhood frequently, and we would go up to the pigeon farm and we would play tennis. And one day we were playing tennis. The kids were in this pond, I'll call it, which was a brickyard. And they had a pond there that was nothing but rainwater and was very deep. So these kids decided to go in swimming, and the one kid didn't come back to the shoreline. And so they hollered, and we went down there, and the father, I forget the priest's name, but he stripped down, we all did, and dove in to try to get the kid. And it was so cold we couldn't get down there. Yeah. And I stayed there with the priest and the other fellow that I was with. And at about 11 o'clock that night, they had been, what do you call that? They were running back and forth with a hook to try to find the kid. And a grappling hook, I guess they call it. And they finally hooked him about 11 o'clock that night. And then I went home. And my mother said, "Why did you stay out so late? You have finals tomorrow." I said, "Mom, this is what happened." So back to why the Catholic Church meant so much to me. I knew this priest, and I was very fond of him, and he was sort of like my father's substitute. Mm-hmm. I would see him up in the neighborhood, and we'd talk and so forth and so on. And then I went into service, and a couple times I would go with friends of mine to the Catholic Church, and I enjoyed that. So when I got married, and I knew that my new wife was not confirmed, but went to the Catholic churches, I decided, after talking with her at length, and then writing to the priest of the Sacred Heart, that I was going to join. And why? Because the church seemed to be so inclusive about people mm-hmm. that I wanted to be part of that.
And how wonderful is that? Because we really do want everyone to be part of the Catholic Church.
Right.
So I love the story of how you come in, come into the faith.
Right.
So if we could, Fred, so you're a Catholic.
Right.
You lost your wife
yes.
a few years ago.
Yes.
And now you're a vibrant part of our parish life.
Yes.
Right? So you've already made reference to
right.
the missions that we do at our parish every
yes.
summer.
And Father Pete's super.
Right. So we're going to plug our own pastor here on the YouTube channel. I keep referencing our parish, but I don't say it. It's St. Maximilian Kolbe in Marmora. And so can you talk a little bit around what we started this year in Advent and what that meant to you?
Yes, we started with a segment of the let's see, where did we start?
We started in Advent.
Yes.
With the book.
With the book.
Right. Advent Meditations with Mary.
We did a chapter or two every week, and then we would meet on Friday nights, and you would lead us in a discussion about the chapters. And we got to know each other quite a bit as a result of meeting.
Right. And there's 9 of us too, by the way.
Yes.
There's 9 of us.
Interacting with each other and so forth. And there were times when people would tell us about themselves, mm-hmm. including me. Mm-hmm. And so we got to know each other and our backgrounds and our idiosyncrasies and so forth. And it was really very interesting and very enjoyable. And the closeness that we achieved through that process was just absolutely amazing. And let me just add to that right now. This past week, I had a very close friend of mine pass away. And we had known each other for 30 years or better. And I told this to Donna. And we met that Friday, as we always do, and we talked. And then Donna said to me, I think we're going to do something for you on Saturday. And they had a motorcade from Donna's house, which is right around the corner from where I live. And they came by and they had roses, they had candy, they had flowers and balloons and
toilet paper
and just all kinds of things. But it was so nice. And it just made me feel so good that people cared about me. And they actually came out and did that. Right. Yeah, that was super.
Yeah, so the reason I was hoping that Fred would be with me on this episode of Joyful Disciples is it shows how important it is for us to be together and to accompany one another in our life's journey. So there's a number of us from our parish that started out together in Advent. And now we stayed together with the Lenten Mission.
Right.
So our parish was really making an effort to create sort of the smaller Christian communities within our large, vibrant parish. So though Fred and Joe and I knew each other when we started in Advent, we had all these other people we didn't know. We had like 6 new parishioners. They're not new parishioners. Some were, but most of them were longstanding parishioners, but we didn't know them. And so we did that in Advent. We had a wonderful Advent. We did it in Lent. And actually Corona happened in Lent, as everyone knows. So thinking about where we wound up, like second week of Lent, is that we couldn't meet anymore. So we used Zoom, we used technology,
yeah.
And even when Lent was over, we stayed together.
Yes, we decided to stay together.
So we've stayed together every Friday. And so this story that Fred is talking about was just a week and a half ago when he called and said he had lost his very, very dear friend, Joe. And he still joined us that Friday. Our whole group prayed the Divine Mercy Chaplet for your friend Joe.
Yes.
Many of us have people that we included in that Divine Mercy Chaplet. So it really talks about the power of community. And then to be able to come and do a motorcade parade to Fred's. Yeah. And because you're the one of our group that actually lives alone, and this is hard, right? Living in isolation.
It is.
Right?
I say another day in paradise each day.
So we thought, actually it was another member, was Cecilia, who actually had said, let's go to Fred's. Yes, and here's the thing, Fred. We thought, okay, we'll do something nice for Fred. It felt so good.
Yes.
To do something like that for you.
And it felt so good for me to be the recipient of that.
Yeah.
Just made my day, made my week.
Sure.
And I felt a lot better about everything.
Mm-hmm.
I really did.
Yeah. And we knew that.
That's great.
Yeah. So Fred, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, you're welcome.
Because this is a really good example of how we come together as community.
Yes.
And not just in times of, pandemic, but always. Because we really need each other.
Yes, we do.
And in the space of missionary discipleship and being a joyful disciple of Jesus, we really have to give others an encounter with Jesus through us. We have to accompany others. So Fred even talked about we've been friends for a number of years, even before the parish mission in home started.
Right.
And so Fred has just been a wonderful friend of ours. And then to have a little bit of a larger group, we actually have become each other's people.
Right.
We are each other's people.
Yes,
we care very much about each other. So we'll be there for each other.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, and that's special.
Isn't it, though?
Yes, it is.
It's wonderful. So our group, we all kind of have this mad love affair with one another. We all love Fred. Fred loves us. And it's just a beautiful example of how Christ called us to live. So thank you, Fred, for joining me today
thank you
on
for
the
having
show.
me.
I really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time.